Greetings, demons, and welcome to Warhammer Weekly, episode 38. And unfortunately, a bit of a quiet one. I do have some pickups to go over, so we will be covering those in just a moment. But yeah, in terms of topics, not much has actually happened this week, and I'm assuming that's probably because we're building towards multiple codex releases, as well as obviously the Christmas season. But in any case, we're going to get into all that just after this intro.
Not the leader of a cult, RabbitWithAxe.
So, trying something a little bit different in terms of the actual, visual setup here for the pickups. We, of course, have more issues of... Okay, this is not working already. We have more issues of Stormbringer. This time around, we have, I think it's everything from 36 to 40? I may be wrong there, we'll check in a second. But yeah, starting with 38, this one comes with a bunch of Stormcast. Which ones they are exactly? Oh, actually, no, they are the Stormcast Vindicators. Okay, so pretty standard Stormcast boys there. We also have both a new brush, which is always appreciated, as well as some, not Seraphon, Sylvaneth, the Ilfari's Guardians, which are very interesting. The first Sylvaneth stuff we've actually gotten in the subscription, that is issue... which issue is that? 37, okay. Then we also have, over here, another Sylvaneth, the Arch Revenant. That's issue 35, so actually going a little further back than I thought we were. As well as the last regular issue, which is issue 36, which is the Fungoid... Oh, I should have prepared that already. Fungoid Cave Shaman, which is, of course, a very nice little grot, little goblin sort of thing. Very nice to see. And then, as I say, one other thing, just because I did pay the extra, I do have a Warlock Bombardier for the Skaven, a very nice model that I have been looking at for a very long time. So, yeah, just a nice little pickup. I got it for cheaper than RRP because of getting it through Stormbringer. So, yeah, overall, that's everything. Just 4 more issues and a bonus issue. And, yeah, that is everything for pickups this week. And starting off with the topics, we have the announcement of the new Combat Patrol boxes for both Adeptus Mechanicus and Necrons, which we kind of knew that these were going to be happening alongside the Codex releases, and for the most part, we already kind of knew what was happening, especially for Necrons, but in any case, when it comes to Adeptus Mechanicus, it's interesting. I would struggle to say it's better than the old one. It's about on par, in my opinion. I think the value is actually way better, like considerably so, but you get a Tech Priest Manipulus, and this is apparently a named one called Scanned. I don't know what the importance that is, but apparently it's a named character, even though it's the generic model. You get 10 Skitarii Vanguard, 5 Taraxi Sterilizers, and 3 Cerberus Sulphur Hounds, which, honestly... The Sterilizers and the Sulphur Hounds are both very, very cool models. I can take or leave the Skitarii Vanguard, but yeah, overall, most of this box is actually really nice, even as someone who isn't overly interested in Adeptus Mechanicus. I like this. I think it's cool, and hopefully it does work out value-wise. As I say, I think this is a better value than the previous, or the current, I guess, Adeptus Mechanicus Combat Patrol. For me, I'm not sure whether it's quite worth it in terms of rules and stuff. We'll see with the Codex release, obviously. But yeah, alongside it, we are actually going to be getting some new rules. I'm going to get into them here, but there are new enhancements specifically for that Manipulus. And yeah, they look pretty interesting. Obviously, link below, and you'll be able to see those rules for yourself. But yeah, overall, definitely different from the previous box, and arguably a better value. I just don't know if these are necessarily the best models for this. As I say, I like the Sterilizers, I like the Sulphur Hounds, everything else, well, the 2 other units, the, character and the generic troops, I can take or leave, but honestly, if you like Skitarii and some of the weirder aspects of, Mechanicum, it's an alright box. It's a neat one. That's the most I can really say about it. Whereas with the Necrons, I will actually say this is a massive step up. So essentially this is, for the most part, models from last edition's start playing starter boxes, and I am really appreciative of that. So, as your character, you get an Overlord, and once again, potentially, I may just be misremembering something, but it lists it as Overlord Ammonotech, and I'm pretty sure Ammonotech is not the type of Overlord that this is. It's the one with the Doom Scythe, and yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not called an Ammonotech, so that might be the character name. I'm not sure, but in any case, it is the very generic Overlord. I actually have 4 of these guys. Very nice model. Love to have him. Rules pretty good. Pretty standard Overlord, all things considered. And obviously, if you don't care about WYSIWYG, or more importantly, your opponent doesn't care about WYSIWYG, it's an Overlord. You can run him as whatever you want, and he's not a terrible model overall. You also get 10 warriors, which pretty standard stuff there. You obviously get your 3 Scarab Swarms with that, which glad that you're getting those included. They're part of the same sprue, so it's kind of impossible for them to separate it. 3 Scorpek Destroyers, which, honestly, Scorpek Destroyers are something that I only picked up somewhat recently, and are one of my favourite Necron units that I own now. It's quite weird that I own everything except for the next thing I'm going to talk about from this Combat Patrol, which is really weird. But yeah, the last part of the Combat Patrol here is the Canoptech Doomstalker, and I know a lot of people have, like, mixed feelings about this unit in general. I've never actually seen this get played. I know it's fine. I know it's a decent enough model. I'm not the biggest fan of Canoptechs. I like my Scarab Swarms, don't get me wrong, but Canoptech in general isn't my thing. I like Destroyers, I like, Flayers, that sort of thing. So for me, it is what it is. I'm not too awfully sold on it, but yeah, a Doomstalker is included. Very nice model if you like that aesthetic. And from what I've heard, at least right now, I can't talk for the Codex, but as of the current rules that are available, it's perfectly fine. This box is a huge step up from the previous one, which I don't even know how they got away with having that for an entire edition. But yeah, very much a good Combat Patrol box, and generally, I'm looking forward to just seeing this get played in Combat Patrol games, because obviously these are both going to be introduced in the actual Combat Patrol mode, and yeah, I'm really interested in seeing how these actually shape up compared to the other boxes, and even because, obviously the rules for the current ones, the ones that are out right now, do exist and will continue to exist. I wonder how it's going to work out in terms of a Necron v Necron between the new and the old, which one actually works out better in game. But in any case, value-wise, both of these are far better than their previous releases, especially when it comes to the Necrons. And yeah, overall, neither of them are necessarily things that I'm going to be picking up. As I say, I own literally everything except for the Doomstalker from the Necron box, and I'm not an Adeptus Mechanicus player. But overall, these are some very nice boxes for people that play them or want to get into those armies. Very good starting points. And realistically, that's all that can be said about it. So, moving on. And we'll be jumping all the way back to the Horus Heresy for some 30k, and finally, it took long enough. It's not epic scale, it's actual full-size 30k, and I've been waiting so long for this. So, this time around, we're actually getting, 1, a Loyalist, which is kind of interesting. We haven't seen a proper Loyalist in a while, and 2, it's a Loyalist that isn't an Imperial Fist. We have a mystical White Scars Stormseer Consul, and as much as I am very mixed on White Scars in general, this guy's neat. This guy is a very nice little Stormseer, and I honestly like all the little knickknacks on him. He's covered in purity seals, or seals of some kind. I don't know if they're called purity seals in 30k, but he's got like a waist cape, which is really nice. His shoulder pads are covered in just decorations of all kinds, and he has a lovely staff with some sort of animal skull on it, covered in feathers, covered in more bandage and more, wraps and stuff like that. This guy is just very well decorated, and it's, unlike a lot of the other Horus Heresy models, not overly so. I'd actually say this is going to be a pretty nice guy to paint, despite all his little blemishes, all his little design, elements. And honestly, this guy just looks great. The helmet option is very, very nice, very White Scars. This is a rare case where I actually think the better option is the helmetless design. It's the one that's pictured in the main image, and it's very White Scars. It is very of that like stylization, and I really like it. As much as I say, I'm very mixed on White Scars as a faction. I quite like this model, and if I can figure out a way to make this into something worth using in 40k, potentially, I'm trying to think. It's not. It's a bit too small for a librarian, I think. But potentially, I don't know. I'm trying to think of anything this could fit as. But yeah, like if I can figure this out, I may just try and figure out how to put it into my Death Watch, because this is just an excellent model, and I have a little bit of a speed freak side to my Death Watch army, which would work for White Scars. Just overall, just some very, very nice details in this model, and yeah, honestly, it looks good. I'm not completely sure right now whether it's going to be. Yes, it is actually. It does say in the last line. They have recently changed the website. I am not going to get into it in this video, but they recently changed the Warhammer website, the Games Workshop website, to be both Forge World and regular Citadel. But so yeah, a few of the articles are a little bit messy when it comes to finding out whether they're Forge World. But yeah, so this one will be in Forge World resin. Not the best thing in the world, but honestly, for a model that looks this nice, I might bite. I'm not the biggest fan of resin in general, but this is cool. This is neat, and I do quite like this model as a whole. So yeah, very much have the idea that I could possibly turn this into something for my army, but yeah, at the very least, I'm sure White Scar players for 30k are going to be very, very happy, and probably White Scar players for 40k are going to make this into a great lieutenant or a great captain or whatever they want to do with it. And yeah, just overall a very, very nice model. But that's really all I can say about it. I'm just happy that it's not Legions Imperialis. We've had so much Legions Imperialis without a proper release date. They just one little bit of Legions Imperialis talk. They actually said it is coming out this year still. That's as much as they've said. They won't give us an actual date. So I'm assuming it just comes out like mid-December at this point. But they've said comes soon, and that we'll have more information soon. So soon to me says that it's still coming out this year. I may be wrong. It might not come out until February, but I don't know. I'm hoping the Legion of Paris will release. They'll be able to, actually sell us the things they've been showing us for a year, and then we can just kind of go, oh, okay, that's cool, and then go back to having more stuff like this, more actual 30k, but I'm not holding my breath. But yeah, moving on from 30k, we of course have more to talk about from Age of Sigmar, and this time around it is a very interesting Flesh Eater Courts model, the Abhorrant Gorewarden. And this guy looks pretty interesting. In the title it says, "Hail to the Noble Seneschal," so that's potentially the specific version of an Abhorrant Gorewarden that we're actually getting here. It doesn't make it very clear in the article, if I'm being honest, but this guy looks absolutely excellent. He's very zombie, very vampire, he's covered in keys and little knickknacks, and he's stood in a little rock that's got what I can only describe as either a rotting corpse or a zombie. It's hard to say for sure, but attached, strapped even, with rope to his little plinth. And yeah, overall just a very interesting model here. A lot of exposed bone, wrapped up flesh. I say the key motif is all over him here. And just in general, just a very nice model. I unfortunately don't have too much to say about it, other than I think it legitimately looks really good. There's not anything that really points me in any specific directions with this guy. I like my Flesh Eater Courts. I like, the overall aesthetic. The vampires and stuff in Age of Sigmar are neat. It's just not an army that I'm personally invested in. But yeah, nevertheless, very, very cool looking model. Really do like the wings on him. This guy could very easily be a demon. If you really wanted to use him in I guess a AOS or a 40k army, you could definitely use him in a demon's army, chaos him up a bit, put maybe a different head, change up some of the details to be a bit more chaosy, a few more chaos symbols. This guy could be pretty interesting for that kind of use. But yeah, as a Flesh Eater Courts model, very, very cool, very neat. And yeah, honestly, one that I would definitely think about getting. if I was building the army. I'm trying to avoid with AOS getting into any more armies than I already have. I already basically have both a Seraphon and Rat army, I forgot what the faction is called, alongside my orcs. So yeah, I'm trying to avoid making more armies. This guy does look very, very cool though. So the Abhorrant Gorewarden, it's just an excellent model, an excellent new unit, and I'm hoping we'll probably get, you know, maybe 2 other designs of this guy, or maybe it's revealed, shown in another article, that this guy has some different poses available. That'd be very, very cool. But yeah, for AOS, that is what we have this time around. And unfortunately, that does leave us with only the last topic of the week, the Rumour Engine, for the 7th of November 2023. And this time, it's some skulls. That is all I can really say. I can pretty confidently say this is going to be AOS, just on the basis of the skulls look very fantasy. There's an ingot that has some sort of Nordic rune-looking thing. Just some very interesting stuff, if I'm being completely honest. And yeah, it looks very interesting. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be like some sort of basing element, you know, something that, you know, a character is stood on, or if this is supposed to be like a table, maybe even a diorama-esque image of like a larger model. It's hard to say for sure, but in any case, it's a very nice little skull display, essentially. There's, as I say, a larger skull which looks like it could potentially be like a 40k alien. I doubt it very much. Otherwise, it looks like some sort of, maybe a demon, maybe some sort of... I'm trying to think what kind of like animal it relates to. It doesn't really look like anything in particular. It also looks like a dinosaur, if I'm being honest. Which is all wrapped up with rope or string or something like that. Maybe even a bunch of bones and skulls tied together, covered in horns. A more standard human skull which has a rune marked into its forehead. As a little ingot that has a little symbol on it, which it looks familiar. I can't quite identify what the symbol is, but it does look familiar to me. And all of it seems to be on some sort of either as a table or rock, some sort of basing that's kind of flat but also kind of curved, which is very interesting to look at. But yeah, there's not really much else to say about it. So yeah, that is it for the Rumour Engine for this week. And that, of course, brings us to the end of the video. So that is everything to go over. As I say, a very short week. I think it's actually a lot of good stuff, though, especially the fact that, you know, 30k is not epic. We have some very, very cool combat patrols coming. Just a lot of really good stuff. Even the AOS stuff, as much as it isn't a faction I care about, still very, very cool to see a really nice detailed model. And yeah, overall, just some very cool stuff to talk about. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it, subscribe if you're new to it, and ring that bell so you never miss upload. Otherwise, comment below what you thought of any of the topics covered. As well, if you want to discuss the changes to the Games Workshop website, as I'm not going to get into it, but it is so confusing, it's such a mess, and it's been done to death by so many other better creators than I, so I'm going to let you, discuss that in the comments below. I'll jump in if I think anyone's making an interesting point, but yeah, I'm staying out of that, at least for now. But in any case, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!
Look at the screen, you'll be fine. Culture's a disease, but we'll survive. I just wanna take